game. It's a rich thing.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to another episode of the Jayden Bryce Show, the show where we talk about the latest, hottest topics in the world of pop culture and sports. I am your host, Jayden, and of course, I am happy to see you guys this evening. I'm happy to be with you guys this evening. Enjoyed a nice round of golf today, first day of college, and you don't even have a class on Monday. What a fantastic thing to do as a college student. You get to go enjoy some golf with some friends. So I've had a great day today. I originally did not plan on doing this show today because of how, had a 9:30 tea time, didn't get home till 3 o'clock. So for the past 3 hours, I've been prepping the show for you guys because we're going to have consistency here. I said we're going to have the show on Monday, Wednesday, and most likely Saturday, given my school schedule, because I'll be having to work on Friday nights. But we are here this Monday evening. And I'm glad to be here. We got some very exciting topics that I'm going to get to with you guys today. It is going to be heavy football today. We got no pop culture things. I was kind of contemplating discussing some things with Superman, but we are going to just delay that to the next show, and we will talk about that then because a lot of things has happened in this latest weekend of the preseason. We're going to get into some Jaxson Dart things with Jaxson Dart doing well the last couple of weeks in the preseason. We're going to discuss Caleb Williams looking well last night in his first drive under Ben Johnson. We are going to discuss arguably the most controversial and probably the most interesting topic of today. Did Dillion Gabriel make a controversial and potential diss regarding Shedeur Sanders in his mid-game interview on Saturday? And lastly, gotta save the best for last. Gotta save my rant for last. We're going to discuss my Dallas Cowboys looking like absolute garbage again the second week. I'll wait and save my rant for that later. But that is our slate for today. I thank you guys for joining me. But before we get into all of that, as always, hit the like button on the podcast. Check out my podcast on Apple and Spotify podcasts. If you do not like to watch it live and in picture, you can watch it where you can just listen to it in the car or any other type of medium you would like to listen to my podcast to. Also, look in the description, follow my socials, look at my other videos down below when pertaining to sports in my sports playlist below. But without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let's get right into this evening's show. Jaxson Dart is going to be our very first topic of today. This is a guy that I have fell in love with over the last year. I got to be able to watch him at Ole Miss, and there was a lot to like. SEC quarterback, Lane Kiffin as the head coach there, been in the NFL. He knows how to be an offensive coordinator, be the quarterback coach, and be able to develop quarterback play. And going into the draft, when I found out that the New York Giants were going to be the team to take Jaxson Dart, obviously being in my division, I wasn't scared or anything, but I was like, he could be pretty good in a couple of years, given if he gets the correct development under a coach like Brian Daboll, who didn't elevate Josh Allen to the MVP caliber player that he is, because Brian Daboll has not been there for the past 3 years, but he was the one who helped develop, essentially, Josh Allen to the quarterback that he is today. So he gets a type of quarterback like Jaxson Dart in his hands. I didn't, and obviously nobody did. If they did, they were just lying. Nobody had high expectations for Jaxson Dart going into the preseason because we didn't know what we were going to get. Obviously, in the SEC, he played good, but it was most of a mixed bag. Threw for over 4,000 yards, a lot of touchdowns, interceptions here and there. He wasn't really good at taking care of the ball. Had some big losses, specifically one against Kentucky. But Jaxson Dart has shockingly looked like one of the best rookie quarterbacks right now in the preseason. he has played better than what majority of analysts have thought. Obviously, he thought he was going to play this good, but I essentially think that the New York Giants front office and whole coaching staff has thought that Jaxson Dart has played above expectations. The expectations for a quarterback like Jaxson Dart is to be okay, mediocre, have some misfires with throws here or there, maybe even turn the ball over. But Jaxson Dart has done none of that. As you can see below in the lower third, on my lower third with the stats, in the past 2 games, Jaxson Dart is 26 of 35, 320 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 0 turnovers. That is the type of stat line that Jaxson Dart has put up in a New York Giants uniform. I watched Jaxson Dart in his debut with the Buffalo Bills. I didn't get to watch him live this past weekend because I was watching the Dallas Cowboys. Go figure. But I went back and watched the tape. He just looks absolutely poised. He looks poised. And I looked at his tape from this weekend against the New York Jets, and then I looked at his tape again against the Bills. It's something that I have seen with Jaxson Dart is specifically that Brian Daboll is calling quarterback-friendly plays. He is setting Jaxson Dart up by establishing the run game early, throwing a lot of screen passes, and everything's been pretty much short yardage. I think Jaxson Dart's really threw probably 2 balls past 20 yards maybe. But overall, just setting the quarterback up for success. You cannot go wrong with it when it comes to Brian Daboll. But something else that is a great trait that Jaxson Dart has exhibited early on is a trait that you want to see in your young quarterback. He's getting the ball out very early. He's getting his primary read. He's reading the field well, and he is darting, no pun intended, the ball to his primary receiver. Now, in most of his completions so far, I really have not seen a play where Jaxson Dart has really went through his progressions. All 4 primary read wasn't there. Where's his secondary read? I have not seen a lot of that in his film so far. So maybe it's something that I would be interested to see going into his last preseason game, because we know that he is going to be starting more than likely in this last preseason game. I don't see a situation where they're going to start Russell Wilson because it's the last week. Russell Wilson's already the starter. You've seen what you got from Russell Wilson. Let's just get Jaxson Dart as many reps as possible. So I think that's going to be Jaxson Dart's starting spot going into the last week of preseason. But it's something that I would want to look for. I have not seen Jaxson Dart specifically go through his reads. But and the counter argument to that is, I know I'm giving myself my own counter argument to my argument, is he hasn't had to do that because he has seen the field so well in regards to his primary read. Because once his primary read is open and he's getting the ball there. He's getting the ball out there quick in his primary read before a defender has the chance to cover up his primary read. So you can say that Jaxson Dart is doing his job by getting the ball out early in a timely manner, because we know the quarterback position is all about timing. Timing with your receiver and timing overall within your wide receiver quarterback duo. So overall, Jaxson Dart has looked like he could potentially have the argument to be the quarterback 1 at some point in the middle of the NFL season, because in my opinion, and I'm sure the Giants front office has this opinion, he has exceeded expectations, and he has more than likely surprised people in the way that he has been able to command the quarterback position so early on. Now, the number one argument and the number one question, lastly, should Jaxson Dart start? Let's answer this question for as of right now. I don't think he should, because give kudos and credit to where credit is due. Russell Wilson has looked pretty good this preseason as well. We don't want to forget the absolute moon ball that he just threw against the Jets the other night. That 80-yard pass, and I think it carried 60 yards in the air, 80-yard touchdown pass. Or I don't even know if it was a touchdown. I think he was stopped at the 1-yard line. I can't quite remember. But anyways, it was an 80-yard pass altogether. Russell Wilson still has the arm strength and capabilities to be a starting quarterback in this league. And I don't think for right now it's not the smart move, because I'm going to go back to this argument that I make all the time when referring to when to start these young quarterbacks. The best quarterback that we've seen since Tom Brady, and one who is in the conversation to be the greatest quarterback of all time, Patrick Mahomes. What did he do his rookie year? He sat out a whole year under Alex Smith. He got time with Andy Reid, learning the position under Andy Reid, learning it under a veteran like Alex Smith, and we saw what Patrick Mahomes ended up being the quarterback that he is now. Why would you start Jaxson Dart now? We all know the Jets' offensive line at the moment, currently constructed, not the best. You do not want to put your quarterback under that type of situation. We've seen it with Caleb Williams, and that has been a focal point for the Chicago Bears this offseason, is to beef up that offensive line, and we will get to Caleb Williams later on in our next topic. But number one, the offensive line is not the best. We're playing the long term. He was your first-round draft pick, 26th overall pick. So far, he looks so good. Why just go ahead and throw him out there when we could just sit him on the bench, let him continue to learn more things about the position at the NFL level, and he could be super elite come next year. Number three, you have Russell Wilson. Obviously, he went 6 of 6 losses and 6 wins his last 12 games in a Pittsburgh Steelers uniform last year. He had his moments. There was a lot of good, and there was a lot of bad. But one can argue it was the Pittsburgh Steelers. Arthur Smith is a pretty decent coach, but we can say altogether that that Steelers defense, and historically the Steelers offense, sorry, I didn't mean to say defense, the Steelers offense, the last, since Ben Roethlisberger was the quarterback and they went to the playoffs and got exited in the first round, and the offense wasn't even good then, the Steelers offense hasn't been good in 6+ years. So with Russell Wilson, given what we saw in the preseason so far with him throwing that moon ball outside of the bad interception that he had in the back corner of the end zone, there was a miscommunication issue going on there with the wide receiver. But Russell Wilson still looks like he's good enough to command the quarterback one spot for any team that doesn't have its franchise starting quarterback at the moment. The Giants do not have their franchise starting quarterback at the moment. As good as Jaxson Dart has played, does he have the capability to be the franchise starting quarterback at some point? He does. But I am always one and in favor of the Andy Reid approach. Let the rookie sit. Let him learn under Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson, right now, if he were to retire today, is a current fringe, very fringe, but I think he would ultimately get in Hall of Famer. He has won a Super Bowl. He should have won 2 if his coach would have decided to run the football with Marshawn Lynch instead of want to throw a slant pass and let Malcolm Butler make one of the most historic plays in NFL history. But that's another topic for another day. So why not let him learn under a quarterback like Russell Wilson? Because from what I've learned with Russell Wilson, he's one of these guys, he's a classy guy, and I think he would have no problem, given where he knows he's at in the stage of his career. Russell Wilson is looking out the door more than he is still, in the door. So I think Russell Wilson would have absolutely no problem with having any type of mentorship role to Jaxson Dart. I think Russell Wilson would be 100% open to it. Now, should he start at all this year? I don't think so. Again, answering the question, I don't think he should start at all this year. I know at first we said, should he start week 1? No. Now, question number 2, should he start at all this year? I don't think he should. You signed Russell Wilson. He was the emergency plan just in case you didn't get a quarterback in the draft. And you planned that as such. You went into the drafts thinking that Russell Wilson was more than likely going to be your quarterback 1. Luckily, Jaxson Dart was still available. You trade up back into the first round. You get up and you get your guy. But still, Russell Wilson is very much capable to still command the quarterback position and ultimately maybe let the Giants on to a playoff run. But we know that is more than likely not going to happen because it is the New York Football Giants. Overall, shout out to Jaxson Dart. I think he's off to a great start so far in his NFL career, and I'm looking forward to his final game in the preseason. What do you guys think so far? Do you think Jaxson Dart is off to a great start? Do you think he should start week 1, even though he's not going to because the Giants have already named Russell Wilson the quarterback 1? But do you think he should start at some point in the season? I want to know all of your comments down below. All right, guys. Moving on to our very next topic, of course. I'm already forgetting to clip my parts of this podcast. Okay, let's make sure we do that this time. All right, another guy here. Mr. Caleb Williams. This is a guy who, of course, along with J.J. McCarthy, has got my antennas up for them. These two guys in the same division, I am most interested in looking and studying and conversating about all year this year because they're just so intriguing and a lot is riding for them this year. But Mr. Caleb Williams and I, last night, going into the game, I specifically had the game on just to watch Caleb Williams because I knew he was going to start. Had the game on, 8 o'clock sharp. First drive, absolute masterclass by Caleb Williams. Just absolute masterclass by Caleb Williams. He looked exceptional. Just exceptional. Going into this game and even going into all season, we know Ben Johnson got hired by Ryan Poles and the Bears. We know the history and the things Ben Johnson, I was about to say Brian Johnson, Jesus. Ben Johnson, we know the history that he has had the last couple of years as the OC of the Detroit Lions. He literally turned Jared Goff into a bona fide fringe top 10 quarterback. He had one of the best arguably the best rushing attack in the NFL. So, with him finally being up for a head coaching job, going into Chicago with a quarterback like Caleb Williams, who coming out of the draft was considered the next Patrick Mahomes, had all of these traits of Patrick Mahomes. Obviously, we're not saying he's the next Patrick Mahomes with the accolades and everything else. We're just talking about raw talent because Caleb Williams is one of the most talented quarterbacks to come out of the draft in years. This is the type of quarterback and capabilities of a quarterback that we are talking about. And with a offensive coordinator like Ben Johnson getting his hands on a guy like this, the stories coming out all off season has been, what if Caleb Williams is able to take that next step into being the quarterback that we thought he was going to be coming out of the draft? We know what happened last season. Most sacked quarterback in the league, taking unnecessary shots, even though, some of that was unwarranted. A lot of that was on the offensive line, but a lot of it was on Caleb Williams too. Can't he be more disciplined? He's holding on to the ball too long. All these type of things. Under Ben Johnson, we are looking to see if all that gets fixed. And we know there's been some headlines the last couple of weeks of training camp. There's been a lot of videos of Caleb Williams struggling to, throw the ball in their little target game that they play, throw the ball into the specific holes. There's been stories of Caleb Williams not being able to understand the play calls because Ben Johnson's play calls are reportedly very confusing. They even there's been a whole lot of memes going out about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers meme when God, I can't think of the guy's name, but you guys know what I'm talking about. The meme out with John Gruden. John Gruden was the coach for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and it was the guy who was the quarterback, Phil Simms. Phil Simms' son was the quarterback for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the time, and John Gruden was grilling this play call into his head, and like he could not. Chris Simms, I think was his name. Chris Simms could not get the play called down. So there was a whole lot of memes going on with that about Caleb Williams, and that being the same situation. So going into this game, what was Caleb Williams going to look like? And he looked phenomenal. He looked phenomenal. Absolute masterclass in the first drive. 5 of 6 passing, led a 93-yard touchdown drive. I mean, everything looked so good. He was very decisive. He was poised. And most importantly, something that I have not seen with Caleb Williams the last couple of years, even when he was at USC, when he played those very big games. We all remember the game against Notre Dame his last year, where Caleb Williams looked absolutely flustered at the end of the game. Caleb Williams, for once, looked comfortable in the pocket. Caleb Williams, the quarterback that will run out of the pocket. He'll run 10, 15 yards backwards just to try and make a crazy throw. We know Caleb Williams is very antsy in the pocket. Yet, last night, he looked poised. He looked professional. And overall, he looked comfortable. He was going through his reads, throwing the ball with accuracy, throwing the ball with a lot of zip. A lot of zip. And he just looked absolutely phenomenal. It was pretty much like a little teaser last night of what we could possibly be in store in for the whole season. And it was just, and I'm going to harp on this again, it was just so nice to actually see Caleb Williams with a clean pocket, because we've had to see Caleb Williams just run around for the last couple of years, and just seeing him just be able to sit there and just pick apart a defense, throw an accurate football. It was just nice to see. And it was just shades of what could be, and what type of ceiling could Caleb Williams reach now that he is got Ben Johnson under his wing. But the overall question is this, though. Can we see this Caleb Williams going into the regular season? Can we see this Caleb Williams for 17 games? Because if you are not aware, they, and I'm talking about the Chicago Bears, have a very brutal schedule this season. A very brutal schedule. I will give you a quick rundown of their schedule right here. Week 1, they are in Minnesota. Or are they in Chicago? I don't think they say this is home or away. Okay, here it is. Okay, they're at home against Minnesota. On the road against Detroit. At home against Dallas. Wait, who cares if they're home or away? They got to play the Raiders. Got to play the Commanders. Got to play the Ravens, got to play the Bengals, got to play the Vikings, got to play the Steelers, got to play the Eagles, got to play the Packers twice. You're playing the Browns, even though that's an easy win. Got to play the 49ers, and you got to play the Lions. They have a pretty, I wouldn't say it's a very brutal schedule, but it's not the easiest schedule at all, by any means. So, will Caleb Williams be able to show this for 17 games? I think it's a high possibility. You have the weapons. You have Rome Odunze. You have DJ Moore. You have Luther Burden. You have, Colton Loveland? Colbin Loveland, whatever his name is. Loveland, new tight end, first-round pick that they drafted. He looks good. Still got Cole Kmet. Got a bolstered offensive line, because that was the number one thing that Ben Johnson did when he got the job. I want to say he went to Ryan Poles and was like, Ryan, we need to beef up this O-line because it was god awful. Caleb Williams was the most sacked quarterback last year. Let's get the man some help. So that was obviously a focal point for the Chicago Bears this offseason. So with that being said, I think Caleb Williams and the Bears can be capable of winning 10, 11 games and making it to the playoffs. I think they are very capable of doing that, because if Ben Johnson can establish a culture, because we know the X's and O's, he's amazing. And just a little side note, just to get to the Chicago Bears' performance overall last night, what the frig? They were amazing. Exceptional last night. I mean, they were carving the Buffalo Bills defense up all night. I mean, every time I turn around, a wide receiver was wide open. I don't know if that had a lot to do with just the Buffalo Bills and their game plan on defense, or that just had to do with just Ben Johnson's phenomenal play calling. I'm leaning more towards the Ben Johnson phenomenal play calling, because Sean McDermott is the defensive, the head coach, defensive-minded head coach for the Buffalo Bills. He's had a pretty good defense his whole tenure there as the head coach under Buffalo. I just think that was just an absolute Ben Johnson masterclass. And if we got that to look forward to in the regular season, watch out all NFL defenses, because you're going to have a long day. Something that I want to see if they're going to be able to establish, though, is if they're going to be able to establish an efficient run game for Caleb Williams. We know the type of run game that they had in Detroit with the double, the double monster with David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs, Sonic and Knuckles. But will they be able to do that? Because I think their number one running back right now at the moment is DeAndre Swift. I don't know. We're just going to have to wait and see. But overall, Caleb Williams, great season debut under Ben Johnson as your head coach and offensive coordinator and play caller. And the sky's the limit for you. We're all rooting for you. I know I'm rooting for you, because you were going through a whole lot of slander last year. I mean, last year, people were just wanting to know if you were a bust because of what Jayden Daniels was able to put on tape his very first year, taking the team to an NFC Championship game. So I want to see you in contention. I want you to be in the playoffs. And it's going to be very entertaining looking at you and watching you going into your sophomore season. What do you guys think? Do you think Caleb Williams has what it takes to bolster himself and put himself in the conversation as one of the top 15, top 10 quarterbacks in the NFL this season? Do you think he's going to be very successful under Ben Johnson? I want to know all of your comments down below. All right, guys. This is a very, very, very interesting topic that we are about to get to today. I've watched the clip over and over, and I didn't really know this made a lot of media and traction until I was looking at my daily sports talk shows for today. And for some reason, this was like the talk of the town. Originally, when this stuff all went down Saturday, I didn't even originally see it. But obviously, Mr. Dillion Gabriel made a very controversial quote that raised a lot of ears in the media space, because we all know most of the mass media is very pro Shedeur Sanders at the moment in Cleveland. So Dillion Gabriel has a lot going up against him at the moment. So he, had a pretty decent performance. I mean, I wouldn't even say decent, pretty good. Had a fumble that was technically his fault. That was just miscommunication between the running back and the quarterback there. But he may have had one bad pick. Terrible. Kevin Stefanski came out post-game and said that somebody wasn't in the right spot because you had two wide receivers pretty much in the same vicinity running the same route, and they were 2-3 yards within each other. Dillion Gabriel throws it pretty much essentially right between them. It gets picked off. He throws a pick six. But outside of that pick six, Dillion Gabriel looked pretty good. You can argue that his performance was maybe on par, maybe just slightly less better than Shedeur, but like one performance, Shedeur's performance wasn't drastically better than what Dillion Gabriel was able to put on tape in his debut at the quarterback position in the preseason. So I did some digging. I've watched it over and over, and we know the headline for this topic. Did Dillion Gabriel take a shot at Shedeur Sanders? So we're just going to watch the clip together. I'm going to listen to it. I'm gonna dissect it because I had a very hard time just trying to find this clip. I really did. I was just sitting there like I was sitting there like, okay, are people just trying to just disclose this clip from me and from the audience so they just don't have access to the clip? I'm trying to find this clip for the longest time. I was able to find it on the Cleveland ESPN Cleveland Radio's official Twitter homepage. So let's get into exactly what Mr. Dillion Gabriel had to say. So this is his original interview during mid-game after he had been subbed out.
It's just part of it. You know, there's entertainers and there's competitors. And I totally understand that. And my job is to compete. And that's what I'm focused on doing. It's just part of it. You know,
all right, let's watch this again. Let's watch this again. I know I probably have some audio issues. But he essentially said, and he made this quote saying that there's entertainers and then there's competitors.
It's just part of it. You know, there's entertainers and there's competitors. And I totally understand that. And my job is to compete. And that's what I'm focused on doing.
All right. So when people see this quote, they're going to automatically just sit and think that, oh my gosh, he's dissing Shedeur Sanders, because we don't have full context of the interview. I've tried and went and find like the actual question that she asked Dillion Gabriel. I've looked at articles. I cannot even quite figure out exactly what the reporter asked Dillion Gabriel for him to even make this comment. But we're going to get to another clip here to where, you know, Dillion Gabriel pretty much in his post-game interview tried to backtrack what he said and just said, oh, this wasn't a shot at Shedeur, and we're just going to get to it here.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
There's a quote that you said, there's entertainers and competitors, and I'm a competitor, and I understand there's entertainers. What context was that quote given?
You know, all you in this room are entertainers, and you have a job to do, and I respect it, right? And I'm a competitor, so I have a job to do as well. And I think, you know, just understanding that, that's how I've lived by, and I've said that multiple times. So definitely not a new quote, but something that I've definitely said.
So you were referring to media as the entertainer?
Yeah, I just said.
Okay. Okay, I'm kind of getting what he's trying to say, because now after I'm hearing his post-game quote, it's kind of clicking in my head just a little bit. But let's just listen to this final clip right here, and then we'll dissect what everything happened, what all went on.
First off, I'm all about our team, you know what I mean, and each other. I would never think that, and I've said it before. That's why it's interesting. But for me, I've explained it. Entertainers are you all, competitor. That's what I am, and all my teammates, and we both have jobs to do. That's it. First off.
All right, so that is what Mr. Dillion Gabriel had to say. So just to give my 2 cents of it, now that I've heard it and I was able to potentially just dissect what Dillion Gabriel had to say with his competitor's comment, I want to say maybe that the reporter possibly asked him something regarding Shedeur Sanders, and maybe that he wanted to call the media people entertainers because they were asking him a question, pretty much probably trying to put him down and make him say something controversial for them so they could take the headline and run with it in a way, you know, for views and entertainment purposes. But he was saying that he's a competitor and it's all about competition. It's not about the entertainment. Maybe that's what he was trying to say. But I don't have full context of the quote. I've tried to look for the actual question that she asked, and, you know, Shannon Sharp and a lot of people, you know, when it first happened, they would just went and ran with it and was like, oh, you know, this is a shot at Shedeur Sanders because, you know, we know what Shedeur has to offer at the quarterback position. It's more than just competitiveness when it comes to Shedeur Sanders' game. It is the entertainment value that he has. We know the on-field antics that he has, the type of persona that he brings to the game. He got it from his dad. Touchdown celebrations with the little, with the watch celebration, all of this going on, the swagger on the field. There is entertainment when it comes to that. And that is what's something that Shedeur Sanders puts into his overall game. So, when you have a question like this that the reporter asked you and you make that type of comment, everybody is going to sit there and insinuate that you are going to be talking about Shedeur Sanders, because in Cleveland right now, everything is a Shedeur Sanders soap opera. Shout out to the Dallas Cowboys and Jerry Jones. I got that one from Jerry. But everything's just, Cleveland is just a big reality TV show at the moment because of Shedeur Sanders. Because us audience members, people who are invested into this topic, are going to sit here and say, what is going to happen in Cleveland? Are they going to name Shedeur Sanders the quarterback too? Because the Cleveland Browns came out today and officially announced that Joe Flacco is going to be the week 1 starter. So, and given if you're keeping track of this, we all knew this. You didn't sign Joe Flacco to make him the backup week 1. You signed him knowing that he was going to be the starter. Because if Joe Flacco wasn't going to be the starter, why would you have him there? He's, I think, Joe Flacco's up in age, high 30s, low 40s. I don't even know if he's 40 at the moment. Who knows? Who cares? That's irrelevant right now. But the point is, he's old. Okay? So him being there for a mentor role for him probably is a huge waste of his time. So if Joe Flacco is going to be there, he's wanting the quarterback 1 job. But he got it. But who's going to get a QB2 job? We've seen the depth charts. We've seen Kenny Pickett's been a quarterback 2. Dillion Gabriel was quarterback 3, and Shedeur's been quarterback 4. It's been like that for the past 2 weeks. It's just, this is all the things that are going on in Cleveland. So when they see a quote like this, the media, us, we're going to take a quote and run with it. Now, I'm not going to be that individual. I look through stuff with an extra lens of eyes. I didn't see this quote and just automatically thought, Dillion Gabriel dissed Shedeur Sanders. Oh my God, let me talk about it. No, I waited to watch the whole interview because I wanted full context, because I don't know Dillion Gabriel as a person. He pretty much got late on the scene when he was in college. Wasn't a real well-known guy until he went to Oklahoma and, transferred to Oregon and was able to make him and solidify himself a spot in the NFL and play pretty good to have a high draft stock. But he just reads me as a person who probably wouldn't say a controversial topic about Shedeur Sanders and about his own teammate. I don't know that to be sure. I'm just going off what I said, what I'm seeing so far. I mean, he's not a very, and another argument that you could say with the interviews that he has, he's not a very, he's not a very, talkable guy. He's, he looks like he's very to himself. He's not very entertaining to talk to. He's very stale. Take that as you will. But yeah, let's just go back to the very first. Just I got to watch this again because it's just, I'm trying to give the man the benefit of the doubt here, guys.
What do you mean?
There's a quote that you said, there's entertainers and competitors, and I'm a competitor, and I understand there's entertainers. What context was that quote given?
All you in this room are entertainers, and you have a job to do, and I respect it, right? And I'm a competitor, so I have a job to do as well. And I think just understanding that, that's how I've lived by, and I've said that multiple times. So definitely not a new quote, but something that I've definitely said.
So you were referring to media as the entertainers?
Yeah, I just said that.
Okay. It's, I don't know, y'all. We're just going to leave this one up for debate. I don't want to just sit here and cast aspersions on this guy and just make him out to be, a horrible human being making this comment. I'm sure, and I'm not going to, this is just me, just from the outside looking in. I'm not saying that he feels this way. I'm just throwing out the possibility of it. He's probably tired of all the Shedeur crap. Dillion Gabriel's got a lot riding against him right now. He's trying to make a roster. He's competing against a guy who is loved by everybody. There's not many people out there that despise Shedeur Sanders at all. So a lot of people are rooting against Dillion Gabriel. So internally, he probably has some just resentment for Shedeur Sanders in his heart, more than likely. Again, I'm not accusing him of this. I'm just making an observation here as a possibility of what he may be feeling like. I'm not saying he directly feels this way. So when he's making a comment like this, he may have meant it. Who knows? It's just the possibility that he meant it because of all the type of just stuff that he's seeing on a daily basis in the media about Shedeur Sanders, their own media team, the Cleveland beat writers and radio host in Cleveland, Tony Grossi and everybody. So it's just a lot for Dillion Gabriel to, he's having to deal with all this, and he's trying to just, I know he's trying to say the right thing, but at the same time, I think he's just trying to, make himself not look weak and just take up for himself pretty much. I respect it. But I just don't want to go out on a limb here and just say he absolutely just diss Shedeur Sanders. Was it overall the right and smart comment at the end of the day? And that was my final note after watching it, period. Was it a very smart thing to say? It wasn't. All you had to say is, whatever she asked you, do the Bill Belichick interview thing where it's just, yeah, I had just pretty much do a 180 on the question. Instead of just directly answering it, just do a Bill Belichick and be like, yeah, I had a good game today. Team played well. That's all you had to say. You had to say nothing about there being entertainers and things of that nature. If you want to take a personal shot at the media, just do it at a different time. I mean, do it after the fact where the dust settles on all of this Shedeur Sanders stuff. You could have done it then. Maybe even in the post-game interview, you should have done it in a more non-controversial manner, to where you didn't say it like right after you were just taken out of the game and she was pretty much just giving you a one-on-one interview about your debut, and you're just, you're making it seem like, yeah, that's what a real competitor is supposed to look like on the football field, not an entertainer like Shedeur Sanders, because that's what people made it out to be. I wasn't the individual because when I first saw this, I was like, let me see this. It's kind of weird for a quarterback just to absolutely just demolish his teammate like that. So this is just a big question mark for me. I'm not saying that he didn't diss Shedeur Sanders, and I'm not going to say that he did. We're just going to leave in a happy medium just here, just for Dillion Gabriel's sake, because he left the pretty much gray area for me personally, because I can't really take a side. I can't totally say that he dissed Shedeur Sanders, and I can't totally say that he didn't, because part of me in my brain right now, I'm just thinking about it, it kind of just don't make sense what he said when it pertains to him saying the media are entertainers, just because, and this is just because of this. I don't have full context of what the interviewer, the reporter, actually asked Dillion Gabriel. I don't know. I'm trying to find it. If anybody is watching this and you find it, please just link it to me. I have not been able to find the full question that the reporter asked him, so I don't have the capabilities to just sit here and just choose a side, because it's a gray area there to where you can leave it up. You just can't choose a side, because at the end of the day, I don't know if his comment is so egregious to the point to where, okay, he's dissing Shedeur Sanders, or if he's got a good point in which, he technically is right. We are entertainers. Our job as media is to take something somebody says and run with it and try and make it entertaining and try to stir up some controversy. I mean, that's how we, make a living here. I mean, essentially, this is what we do. Okay. So I don't know, essentially, I can't take a side here. We have a little quote here, a little comment. Shedeur needs to be traded. They're trying to get his value up in preseason to get good value for him. You're not wrong, Merc Squad. You're absolutely not wrong. And this is something that we can take away from the Cleveland Browns as well. You got 5 quarterbacks. You have Joe Flacco, which is obviously he's starting already. You have Shedeur Sanders, you have Dillion Gabriel, you have Kenny Pickett, and you have Lord, the guy who should have never made the Pro Bowl. I still don't know why he even made the Pro Bowl. Lord Jesus, I can't think of his name. Y'all know who I'm talking about. He was the backup, Tyler Huntley. There we go. Jesus, I couldn't think of his name. So Tyler Huntley, we know Tyler Huntley is there. Somebody's got to go. Somebody's getting traded. And there was an article that came out like 2 or 3 weeks ago that pretty much stated like, yeah, somebody is getting traded. It's either going to be Dillion Gabriel, it's going to be Shedeur Sanders. It's one or the two. Now, me personally, I'm not the hugest Dillion Gabriel fan. I'm just not. It has nothing to do with the comment that he's made. I'm not, casting this against him. No, before all this even happened, I've been very on, Shedeur Sanders should be the guy. Because I've been on the high horse saying that Shedeur Sanders should have been one of the first 3 quarterbacks drafted. Definitely should have been drafted ahead of Tyler Shuck. Okay, I respected Cam Ward. I got it. Even to a certain degree, even though it was still just a little, maybe just a little egregious. I got the Jaxson Dart thing. I get it. You want to get your guy, trade up and you get him. I respected it 100%. But I think overall, just from the tangibles that I've seen, although I've said in many videos past, you guys can go look it up. I have said that Shedeur Sanders needs to just clean up some things off the field, just for me personally. But just on the field intangibles, he throws a better football in my opinion. He feels like he commands the offense better. He looks poised in the pocket. He just looks like he plays the part. He has the body frame. And it's always for me. And I've been and it's just sometimes when you can't truly explain stuff, it's always about the eye test. I've always been a fan of the eye test. Sometimes you just can't really explain why one is better than the other. It's just off the eye test. When I watch Shedeur Sanders versus when I watch Dillion Gabriel, it just looks like Shedeur's the guy. It just looks like Shedeur's the guy. So that's just me. Now, Dillion Gabriel, I was very happy with what I saw from him in his preseason debut. Outside of I'm not going to totally kill him for the fumble and the interception. The interception is, two receivers were 3 yards within each other. Okay, one was here, and the DB literally split the middle between them and picked off the pass. I'm not going to kill Dillion Gabriel for that. He still shouldn't have thrown the ball, but I'm not going to kill him for it. Even the fumble, running back, who knows? The running back was probably being too antsy, probably cut a little too wide. Who knows? We're not going to kill Dillion Gabriel for that. We're just going to give him the benefit of just overall from an objective lens. He played pretty darn good. Threw a good football. Statistically, he was better than Shedeur, just yardage-wise. Obviously, he had 2 turnovers, 0 touchdowns, 2 turnovers, and Shedeur had 2 touchdowns and 0 turnovers. That's a massive, difference. TDs weigh a whole lot more than yardage to me. TD passes. Either way, whatever you want to mix it. They both had pretty good debuts to me. So, essentially, yeah, Merc Squad, somebody's going to get traded. Somebody is absolutely going to be traded. But overall, I think I'm pretty much done with this topic. I pretty much got everything that I wanted to say. Y'all let me know down in the comments. Are y'all like pro Dillion Gabriel in this comment, or are y'all pro Shedeur? Did you think that Dillion Gabriel dissed Shedeur Sanders, or did you just think he was dissing the media? Like I said, I don't know. I don't have access to the full report, the reporter's question that she asked him. I don't know. I've been trying to find it. I could not find it. But again, the way that Dillion Gabriel just said it is just still off-putting for me. I get what he's trying to say because he does have a point, media are entertainers, but still just in the context of how he said it, it just don't sit right with me to a certain degree. I just don't know, why was it then that you would make the comment about the media? Just then in a mid-game interview. If you said something like that post game when somebody asked you a question regarding Shedeur, I would understand, but just mid game after you just got taken out, and it's a little off putting for me. But I want to know all of your comments down below. All right, Merc Squad, let me see what you said right fast. Dillion and Shedeur, QB2 and 3. Kenny is gone. Absolutely, I do think they're getting rid of Kenny Pickett. If not, they're going to try to get that value up for Shedeur. Yeah, I think Kenny Pickett was more of a emergency, because they signed Kenny Pickett before the draft. So I'm pretty sure, and they didn't think that they were going to be able to get Shedeur and Dillion Gabriel, because they drafted Dillion Gabriel first. So obviously the front office loved Dillion Gabriel more than they loved Shedeur, and Shedeur was still available come the 5th round, and they're just sitting there. Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski just sitting there like, well, what the frig? We got nothing to lose. I mean, we got, defense is pretty good. There's no wide receivers that absolutely, make us like lose our minds at this point in the draft. So, hey, why not just take a chance and just see, nothing to lose. So, yeah, I think absolutely Kenny Pickett is gone. And me personally, I think Kenny Pickett is like the worst option out of the 4. Maybe even 5 with Tyler Huntley. I think I would maybe rather have Tyler Huntley than Kenny Pickett, but that's just me personally. But yeah, man, thank you for the comments. I very much appreciate those. I love comments in these live streams. You're like the 3rd person that's commented on my last 10, 11 shows that I've made so far. But thanks, man. Thanks for the comments. Healthy conversations. Love them. But guys, we're going to get to our last topic. We're going to talk about my Dallas Cowboys. All right, so what is there to say? I'm not about to sit here and defend this performance whatsoever, because I know there is a lot of people that is just going to go on here and just be like, yeah, just sitting there trying to justify why the Cowboys played the way they did. There's no way to literally justify the way the Dallas Cowboys have looked the last 2 preseason games. And I'll give my overall just preseason stuff after we talk about just the game in general with the Ravens. Again, another game I break my neck to see. They're not playing on national television. Okay? I break my neck, watch them on, stream service. Y'all, this game was just abysmal. I mean, I first quarter, even first drive, we're on defense. I was pretty much happy what I saw from my defense the first drive. Stuffing the run a little bit. Jake Sanborn, linebacker core flying around a little bit. Whatever. And then just offensively, man. First drive, we don't get a good spot. Try 2 runs. They don't work. Miles Sanders just whatever. Pitch played it outside. Didn't absolutely love the play call, but it wasn't executed to how it needed to be. And just Joe Milton just takes an absolutely egregious sack in the end zone. Like, he's hot. There's 5 guys blocking. They blocked all 5 of their guys. The safety came down straight up the middle. Tyler Booker was playing right guard. I don't know exactly who was playing right tackle. Who cares? It's irrelevant. They had their guy. So somebody was hot. 5 guys were blocked. All the linemen were blocked. So somebody was hot. Somebody was blitzing that Joe Milton did not see. And just took an absolute egregious sack in the end zone. And that was just all, it was all she wrote from there. The offense, again, just like last week, well, the week before, had another abysmal first half performance. Just abysmal. I think time of possession wise in the first half, and I was talking to this with Dad, I even guessed it and guessed it correctly. That's how tuned in I was to this garbage on Saturday night. The time of possession for the Cowboys was 6 minutes, and compared to the Ravens' 23 minutes, I was sitting there like, my gosh, when are we going to see the offense? That's just how anemic and pathetic the offense was. Granted, in the first half, Cooper Rush threw a pick 6. So, we were up 7-5 at one point. Yippee, hooray. But essentially, the defense was out there for 85%, maybe even 90% of the first half. So obviously, same problems on defense. Gashed in the run. First drive looked very promising. We were stuffing the run with linebackers. Then after that, it was just all downhill from there. Could not stop the run. Not setting the edges. Miscommunication on defense with the defensive backs. There's just so much bad. So much bad. Not a lot of just okay and even great. Everything is just bad. And I was even talking about, I had everything switched from offense topics to defense topics. It's just all around bad. Let's just get to the offense. And I know I'm everywhere right now, but let's just talk specifically about the offense. Again, like I said, first half, they were absolutely pathetic. Absolutely pathetic. They had 20 total yards in comparison to the Ravens had 200 total yards at that time. It was just absolutely pathetic. Joe Milton looked bad. Just did not hit throws. Didn't run through his progressions. Took a horrible sack in the end zone for safety. What else? Run game. Not as well, not on par to what it needed to be. Offensive line was okay. Wasn't bad. They were probably the only bright spot in the game. You can't really say much about the wide receivers because they didn't have opportunities to even make plays all night. Ryan Flournoy, Trayshawn Holden, Jalen Cropper, a lot of these guys that you have to evaluate for the wide receiver 5 and 6 spot. You couldn't evaluate them Saturday night because the quarterback play by Joe Milton was absolutely abysmal. And this is coming from someone, I'm not going to say I wholeheartedly has been on Joe Milton's bandwagon or whatever, but I just expected a whole lot better than this. What Joe Milton has put on display the last 2 preseason games is way worse than what Trey Lance did all in the preseason last year. And the expectation for Joe Milton was okay, you're going to be better than Trey Lance. You got to be better than Trey Lance. But so far, he hasn't. Have you seen what Trey Lance has done over there in LA right now? Granted, he's not with the Cowboys, but it was just bad. It's just bad. The quarterback's at fault for this. The quarterback's at fault. He did not give the wide receivers a chance to make plays. This has a lot to do with Brian Schottenheimer as well with the play calling. And again, he did not set up the Cowboys for success and even Joe Milton for success by calling the run, establishing the run game, getting Joe Milton in rhythm, putting them in play action. Joe Milton was never able to get out on a rhythm in the first half, even in the second half. Just the full game, it was just horrible all around. And get into the defense, just same thing. Can't stop the run. Defensive tackles is getting pushed 5-6 yards off the line of scrimmage. DBs burnt toast everywhere. They couldn't cover my grandma. The only bright spot was the linebackers. The linebackers are the only thing I can say that I'm probably excited about. And a lot of this has to do with Matt Eberflus being at the helm, being the defensive coordinator, and he's a linebackers guy. He turned Darius Leonard into an all-pro. And then after Matt Eberflus left, Darius Leonard fell off the face of the earth. A lot of that had to do with some health issues. But Shamar James, Jake Sanborn, Damone Clark, a lot of these guys coming out party Saturday night. They played exceptionally well. Specifically, Damone Clark was looking sideline to sideline, looking like the type of linebacker that the Cowboys thought he could be coming out of LSU. They were the only bright spot. Just Andrew Booth, whatever, he got an interception. It was more luck to me than anything. The wide receiver didn't even look at the ball. The ball went right past the wide receiver's face. Just right place, right time. Really had nothing to do with his coverage, in my opinion. Just nothing nice to say about the defense. The rookie Toya, okay. Mozzie Smith just continues to look like an absolute bust as the games go by. Edge rushers, pretty good. It's just everything's meh. Everything is just meh. Everything is meh. So that's just both sides of the ball. And after this game, just the way they played, they arguably, I can't say this. And y'all know I don't say nothing without factual evidence to back it up, but I can really say, honestly, this has got to be one of the worst teams right now in the NFL. The way they've played, just by the way they played preseason. They have not scored but one offensive touchdown, I believe, or maybe two. I may be wrong. We know they didn't score one this week. We just have to go back and see from last week if they scored 2 touchdowns or not. I remember the Joe Milton pass to the right side edge of the end zone near the end of the game. I don't remember us. Did we even score again after that? I don't remember. I don't know. It's just bad. All around bad. After watching these 2 performances, again, I know a lot of this has been with the number 3s and the number 4s. The 2s haven't really played. Well, the 2s have played, but majority of these guys, the guys that have been playing, are guys that's fighting for the 3 spot. I mean, they're fighting for the 3rd string spot. We've played no starters. CD hasn't played. George Pickens hasn't played. Dak hasn't played. A lot of our number 1 linemen have not played. Definitely our number 1 corners haven't played because all of them's hurt. The only number 1 corner we have right now that is healthy is DaRon Bland. None of the number 1 linebackers has really played outside of maybe Jake Sanborn. Definitely none of the number 1 edge rushers have played. Definitely none of the number 1 defensive tackles have played, nose tackles, not the safeties. We don't know what to take from it, but after seeing this with the play calling on offense and the way that they've just gone, the game plan so far, just offensively and defensively, how can you watch these performances and be excited going into the season? Because I'm one of those. I'm a big believer in getting reps. I think the offense needs reps. Dak Prescott hasn't had reps in a very long time. He missed what? Dak Prescott got hurt when? Before Thanksgiving? I think he got hurt late October. He hasn't played ball in almost 10 months live in a game. He's going to be rusty going into the season opener. CD, George Pickens, I mean, they haven't had a chance to get in a live game and get their connection going with Dak. What is the run game going to be like? What about the defense? I just don't know. I don't know as a fan how you are just optimistic about this team. I don't. I think we're going to be bad. And I know a lot of this has to do with Joe Milton offensively on the side of the ball, and just the defense is all around bad. I think the defense is going to be bad all year. I think they're going to be burnt toast. I don't like the defensive backs at all. Nowhere. Even when Trayvon Diggs gets back, I'm not going to love him. I don't like the safeties. I hate I don't want to say hate. I despise Marquez Bell. I don't even know why he's on the roster. Linebackers would be good. I just think at the end of the day, the kryptonite's going to be running the ball against them. That's going to be the game plan for every team that plays the Dallas Cowboys. Run the ball against them, you're going to average at least, at the bare minimum, over 5 yards a carry. So that's what teams are going to do against the Dallas Cowboys defensively. And offensively, we got to wait and see what Brian Schottenheimer's play calling. I mean, I like his route combos for the most part that I've seen. His run packages look pretty good. We ran the ball efficiently first game. Even this game, I looked at some tape, and I feel like some of the running backs took the wrong holes and didn't take the right hole that they needed to gain more yardage than what they could. But it was just bad. It was a tough watch. I only watched it. And this is God's honest truth. I only watched it because I knew I had to talk about it in my show. It's the only reason why I watched the Dallas Cowboys play. If I really wanted to, I'd have shut that game off at halftime. It was just that bad. So going into next week, Joe Milton's going to get the nod again. Things that I want to see. I want to see just better offensive play calling, better game plan on both sides of the ball. What is going to be your identity? Are you going to establish the run on offense, or are you going to fling the football around? Defensively, are you going to key on stopping the run? What are we going to do? We need to find an identity. I'm a big believer in identity, and we need to get that going into our next game. But right now, as we are currently constructed, it's looking rough going into week 1. And I don't want to say this because it's the Philadelphia Eagles, and I absolutely despise them. If I had the opportunity to hate anything in life, it would be them. I just don't like their fan base, but I can't say I hate anything because that's wrong. But man, it looks like right now we are more than likely prepped to get the doors blown off of us, especially if Micah Parsons is not on the field Thursday night, September 4th. It just is not looking pretty at the moment. But maybe I'm going to have better news coming from the game this weekend. Maybe I'll have a better report. But right now, I do not have one. So that is all I got to say about Dallas Cowboys. I don't even want to talk about them no more because I'm going to get more ill and mad the more I just sit and talk about them. But what do you guys think? Do you think that the Dallas Cowboys this is just probably going to be the norm for them all season? Do you think they're like one of the worst teams in the preseason so far? I think they arguably can be so far because right now, I think offensively, they've had 1 touchdown, and defensively, they've given up like well over almost over 150 yards in the run game, both games. It's just been a rough watch. I want to know all of your comments down below. And ladies and gentlemen, you have reached the end of tonight's show. Thank you guys for tuning in. All of my sports fans and lovers, pop culture fans, if you watch this evening, I'm sorry. I will get to you guys in my next show, hopefully. But again, I thank you guys for joining me tonight, and I look forward to hopefully, more than likely, if nothing else changes, I will see you guys on Wednesday night. I'm going to have a good show for y'all, and maybe we can get some topics to potentially talking about going into the next week of the last week of the preseason, and maybe get some topics going on about the regular season. But I thank you guys for joining me. Do not hesitate to hit the like button on the podcast. Subscribe to my channel. Check out my description below to follow my podcast on Apple and Spotify podcasts, as well as check out all my sports videos down below. I hope you guys have a great night, a great rest of your night. I'm going to get off of this podcast and go check out the Commanders game and the Cincinnati Bengals to see what they have going on. But yeah, guys, I thank you guys for joining me tonight, and I will see you guys on the next iteration of the podcast and the show. I love you guys so much, and as always, peace, love, and positivity always, y'all. See you.